Hello, Andrea. Today we are going to be talking about the 2013 Hallmark mystery called The Mystery Cruise. Is this going to be a exciting, fun cruise, or are we getting tossed overboard?
I love it. Can't wait to find out.
This podcast was created by fans for fans and is not affiliated with or sponsored by Hallmark or the Hallmark Channel.
This is Eric,
This is Andrea.
and this is Hallmark Mysteries and more.
All right, so The Mystery Cruise. I have a longer description in case you haven't seen this movie. It originally aired again, which we said is 2013, so it's been a few years. And I don't see this one air regularly on the Hallmark Mystery Channel, like ever.
I honestly, when you sent it to me, I was like, oh, a new mystery coming our way because I had never heard of it. And I looked it up and it was in the Hallmark website. I was like all excited. I almost posted something about another new mystery. And I'm glad I did not when I finally saw, because it seemed dated. So I caught myself.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into this cruise. So the Mystery Cruise centers around best friends and impending business partners. Elvira Mahane, which is played by Gil Grady, a lottery winner turned amateur sleuth, and Reagan Riley, who is played by Michelle Harrison, who is a private investigator. After rescuing the diamond-collared pooch of a wealthy socialite, played by Carol Higgins Clark, the two heroines set off with their spouses to join Reagan's mom, Nora Riley, who's played by Colleen Winton, a world-famous mystery writer, on a luxurious 3-day cruise around the San Juan Island off the coast of Washington. The cruise serves as the setting for a mystery game created to promote the release of Nora's latest book. As the boat calmly sets sail, everyone is enjoying getting into character, especially Elvira, who may or may not be the game's murderess. But trouble waters lie ahead when Elvira gets a hunch that a real killer may be on board, and together with Reagan, the pair teams up to solve the high seas whodunit.
That is definitely a longer one, especially when you compare it to the Gilded Newport one, which the person
Sure.
rode on their way out to Quiznos to get lunch.
I mean, after reading this, I'm like, this actually answers some of the questions I might have had about some of these characters. So I actually really appreciated this description. And now I'm putting together pieces that I didn't quite catch watching the movie.
Oh, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that in this movie, I will say. All right.
Well, this is, I also just wanted to throw in Mary Higgins Clark wrote the book called The Santa Cruise, which this movie is based on. So that showed right at the beginning.
She wrote it with her daughter, the Carol Higgins Clark. The
Who
two of
is
them wrote
in
it.
this
And
one?
I
A little
tried
cameo.
busting when we said we were doing this and we just decided to do this sort of a last minute. I read as much as I could over the weekend of that
Oh,
Santa Cruz. So it's a little
ooh,
bit different, but
can't
so
wait to
yeah,
find that out.
a little take on that. Not too much though.
I love it. Well, what was your overall plot enjoyment? How'd you like this movie?
I'm like a 3.5, and I don't know how I got there.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Like, you're surprised you liked it that much? Or
Yes.
really?
Yes.
Why?
Well, I was going to wait for yours, but we can go into mine
Okay. Okay.
because this movie was completely chaotic and I did not know what the hell was going on. I was trying to figure out, wait, what are they doing? The whole concept of the game that's like, the mystery within the mystery when they're playing their characters and their role playing. Like I couldn't figure out the game. I kept trying to go, I don't understand the game that they're all playing. And like I say, I was so confused. I did so much rewind. Like, what did I just watch? And I kept going back. And at the end, I'm like, I should hate this mystery because it was so incoherent. Yet I had so much fun watching the thing
So
that I was
funny.
like, I'd watch it again. And maybe I'd find out a little more and understood a little more. So like I say, chaotic. That's the only way I can describe this movie. We reviewed Wedding Planner Mystery last year, and then we talked to Ron Oliver, the director, who gave a little behind the scenes, and he said how they had this script that just didn't make sense, and they just put it in there, and they were ad-libbing and throwing things in just to make a movie out of it. I kind of had a sense of that, but like I say, somehow, some way, it worked for me. I can't explain it. I really can't explain it. But what about you?
Well, it really worked for me. I give it a 4.5 out of 5. I
Whoa.
loved this movie.
So you understood
I
what was going on.
okay, so I watched this maybe a year or so ago. So I've seen every Hallmark mystery movie. I have been there since the inception. Like I've been a Hallmark mystery fan.
Wait,
And
wait, wait,
so
wait. Are you saying you saw this like back in 2013 and then saw it again? Or
potentially, yes, but I remember it a couple of
okay,
years ago. So I looked to see if I was like, I'm pretty sure I reviewed this on my Instagram page, a few years ago. And sure enough, I did. And I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And then having watched it again, I think some of this clicked into place. But then after reading that description, I wish I would have read that before watching it a second time. And then I think even more would have clicked into place for me. But I really loved it. I think this had a beautiful, like, bones to set up an ongoing series. And I know that was their intention. It didn't work. But again, in 2013, I was kind of looking up to see what was that first mystery series. And it was the garage sale mysteries from everything that I researched and found. And this one came out similar timing. So my guess is this and the garage sales were kind of the, hey, what's gonna stick. And
interesting.
yeah. And so this one did not fly. And when I was looking through some of the IMDb comments, after I watched it just to kind of get a feel, I'm like, well, I love this. Did other people, or why didn't this fly? It had a pretty low rating, like a
Right.
5.4, which I'm assuming. And then after reading people's comments, it was exactly as you said. People were confused. And I didn't know that she was a lottery winner turned sleuth, stuff that I read in that description. I'm like, they could have done a better job informing us of these characters. And
They
again,
they
people
did
didn't know
mention
whose
it in this
husband
in the
went,
movie.
but briefly, like enough where
Right.
you're like, if you're kind of like getting your, cup of tea to sit down and watch it, you missed that. And
Yep.
then you miss who this character is. And then even the spouses, you're kind of like, wait, are they married? Are they dating? He just kind of comes in and you're like, oh, I guess that's Elvira's husband. I didn't put that together. Things like that they could have done better. And same with the mom. I knew it was the mom. I didn't realize the mom was the mystery writer and that was her book launch that was going on. I didn't catch that. I knew, she was the mother and that she was the writer, but I didn't catch that was supposed to be her big, hey, here's my new book, which is super clever. I mean, if you're a mystery writer, I
Right.
love that premise of doing this type of event. So I had fun. I think this is one where you have more fun the more you watch it because you can kind of flesh out some of these characters.
100% agree. Like I say, I think a 3.5 is not bad because, like I say, I will say 3.5, thoroughly enjoyed it. We'll watch again. I agree with you because I went back and I watched it, and then I went back and, like I say, I had to do a lot of rewinding, and then I went back after I was started reading the book, and for that
Mm.
same exact thing he said in the book, it talks about how she won the lottery, and she's such a huge fan of the writer that she sort of forces herself into a relationship with them, and just
Okay.
sort of, it
We didn't
doesn't
get that.
right. You didn't get that from the movie, but then I went back and I was watching the movie, and then I saw the one line where the people are like, "Oh, that's Elvira, the lottery winner." Like, just sort of an offhand comment, which you're right, it would have built so much more into it. But I totally understand why you gave it your 4.5, why you're strong thing, because it is seriously so enjoyable, so fun to watch. My thing, and the only reason why I'm at the 3.5 is because, and we'll get into, I guess, a little bit more of the actual mystery itself just really kind of made no sense, right? And I did not get far enough in the book. I do know that the book is a big, there's like 200 people on it,
Mm.
and it's going through, and it's this really rich guy bought the boat, and he's doing this publicity thing where all these VIPs get to come on and do this cruise. His nephew brings these convicts on who are, which I'm guessing the gambling guy is sort
Mm.
of the equivalent of that. So I got to see a little bit of sort of the bones of where the mystery was from the book. And I'll be honest, I was not so into the book where I'm going to keep going now that we've got there. Um, it was okay. Her writing, I don't know. Have you ever read any of her books?
I have not. I've heard of her, but I haven't read
Right,
anything.
I've heard of her too. Writing's a little simple for me. And I know in the cozy mysteries, there tend to be not, the most complex, we're not doing, Shakespeare kind of thing here, but it was pretty simple for me in this one. So, but it was still, like I say, this movie though, I thought was just really good. The other thing was Michelle Harrison. Do you know her? Because she's been in a few Hallmark things.
I recognized
I
her. I
I
recognize a
didn't
lot of these characters
I
that,
didn't recognize her. I do not know why she did not catapult into a lead because she was fantastic. I mean,
agreed.
she's everything you look at for a Hallmark star. She is it. And I don't know why she wasn't one of the main, Hallmark people, why she's not up there with the Nikki DeLoach's, the Jill Wagner's, the Ellie Sweeney's and stuff. She just seems like she has all of that. The
I
other
mean,
thing
this would
is,
be like the pure speculation of like this, maybe this was the movie and it didn't do well. So then Hallmark just scrapped it thinking it was her, which it wasn't. I don't think
not,
it was
no,
her, but
she
that
is
would be
great.
maybe their
And
thought process. I don't know.
and then Gil Grady, which I had to look up because he had that like sort of Brooklyn-y, I guess, or what I don't, one of the borough accents, right? Now I had to look up and see if that was where she was from, and she's actually from my hometown, Detroit.
Yeah.
So she clearly was just putting that on. But how did you like her character? Because she was a lot, right?
Oh, I loved.
But yeah,
I
if
love the characters that tend to be a lot for the most part. Those don't bother me. And I know those bother other people because there was the movie, the Paging Mr. Darcy, that sister who a lot of people said was a lot. I loved her. Like I tend to be that is a fun character for me. I think they bring some lightheartedness. So I didn't mind her and I would say she was fine and I would have loved to see that duo. There was a book that I used to read and I don't remember the series name and I cannot, if anyone knows, let me know. Send us a DM because I cannot figure out for the life of me. It was two hairstylists based in Texas and they would solve crimes. And I don't know what happened. Like I gave away all these books and it was an ongoing series and I cannot remember what they were called. But these two leads seemed very similar to that book in terms of like their personalities. So I enjoyed like a fun, bubbly one, and then one who has to kind of keep her on track, make sure, hey, this is what we're trying to do. And I like that dynamic in kind of that duo for mysteries because I think it plays well for those who don't want something that's super intense, but want a little lightheartedness with the mysteries. I feel like Hallmark should do something like that again, just because that is a fun dynamic with friends.
what? Oh yeah, the friends. Because say kind of the cases. Mr.
Right.
Lane
More like
is
girlfriends
is
trying to,
that, but right,
solve
but doing
crimes.
the buddy
Yeah.
one, and I will say that it's kudos to Gail Grady because to be able to act that character who I think so easily could be annoying, to be able to know how to do it in a way that we both found her endearing, I think is just a testament to skill. To play someone who is kind of silly and sophomoric, you think like that would be the easy thing to do, right? But that's got to be like the hardest thing to do because to do it in a credible way, it just, like I say, I think that's just fantastic acting, which probably does not get the attention. More serious thing role is probably looked at more like, oh, that is good acting. But to be able to play silly, almost like hijinksy credibly, I thought was really good.
Yeah.
Then the the other thing about this movie that I miss, and you see it kind of on some of the older Hallmark things, were the transitions.
Oh, I
They
wrote
were
that down too.
so
I loved
cool.
them.
So cool. Like they show, so obviously we're audio here, but you got to watch the movie if just for that, where they'll show like in a book, the picture of the boat as it opens up and then it transforms into the actual boat. Like the transitions were just really cool, and Hallmark does not invest in those at all anymore. And
No,
what's
and I liked it because
crazy,
it felt like it was a chapter. Like, here's the new
yeah,
chapter, the next chapter of the movie. And it was just, I felt it really brought you in.
and what's crazy is the guy's name who's like the director of photography, his name's like Peter Benison or something. So I reached out to Peter Benson because you know how he directs, and this was like so early on. I'm like, hey, were you the director of photography? Because just looking at the name, he's like, no, I've gotten that before. The name's
That's
very
funny.
similar, but I wish I could take credit, but that was not me.
That is
But
so cool.
it
Hallmark
was
needs to
like I say,
hire
it
him
was
again.
really cool. Speaking of Peter Benson, this was his second, I believe, Hallmark movie.
Wow.
He was in was it A Bride for Christmas? Or yeah, A Bride for Christmas with Andrew Walker and Ariel Kribel, or however you pronounce her last name, which was just on the other day. And for an old Hallmark movie, I don't know how you feel, that one totally holds up for me as well. I think it was a great movie, but we're not reviewing that. But Peter Benson, I thought, was a lot of fun in this, getting to see him and his character. And he was like there were, we're going to go back to the chaos. There is the whole plot of this murder mystery role play thing that's taking place. Then there's the whole thing of the Peter Benson with his little crime that he's solving. And then there's the whole one that the main characters, Elvira and Reagan, are, solving the almost murder. And like there's so much just going on in this movie that it is crazy. And you don't see that in a movie these days in Hallmark, right? In one of their mysteries, they pretty much have the main thing going, and that's it. We talked at the garage sale, which had the little story about the fixing up the Mustang, a little side story thrown in, but all in all, it's the case, and that's it. And this one had so many layers of chaos, great
Yeah.
chaos.
Wow. I agree. I mean, that was kind of my mystery minute as well. Is this movie, the main mystery that's happening, you are let in as a viewer, who the murderess is, they are very, or trying to be, who
But
she
do
is. Like,
they
they don't hide that from you.
they kind of did. Like, I'm like, she really try to kill him, or was it like Elvira seeing things? Like, I did not know for sure
What?
she was trying
How
to
did
kill
you
him
not?
for
Oh
the
my gosh,
longest
Eric.
time. I didn't know if it's
What?
coincidence.
No.
I told you,
Oh,
chaos,
jeez.
chaos.
Okay, no, to me it was very obvious that she was trying to kill him. Because I mean the whole thing, like, she had the bloody finger, that's what Elvira noticed. Like, you were supposed to kind of, like, the smuggling, like putting the pillow over the
Right.
face, like
Well, the
she was
pillow
definitely,
was,
and the
yes,
poison and the tea. So many different times she tried to kill
but
him.
you
And
didn't
she
know
was
that it was,
wanted by the FBI and had
you
different,
found that out halfway
names.
through.
I mean, how did you not pick? Oh,
Because
Eric.
I thought it was like coincidences. Like she
No, they were
thought,
being very
like she
obvious.
accidentally did
No.
the champagne, and then the tea. Like, did they actually show her poison, or
No,
was it
but
just
her
implied?
reaction was
Right.
just
But
like,
that's the thing. That's why I was still like, is she or isn't she?
oh, that's funny.
So, but she
Okay, well, maybe
obviously
you,
she was. And if she's
yes.
poisoning the guy, I don't know how she plans on being on a boat and getting away with poisoning her husband, but whatever. It doesn't
So
matter. This is
that
kooky.
was
This
the
is fun.
mystery. That
Right.
was like afoot. That was the main mystery. And
And
then, you had the mystery of the actual game that they're playing.
right.
And, you kind of had that in the background as well. Plus, you had the gambling thing. I mean, so you had so many fun little storylines thrown in that I think that was enjoyable for me. Again, could they have fleshed that out? Like, Peter Benson's character, was he a policeman then?
Yeah.
Is that his? Okay.
Yeah, he was
See,
a
and
head of
that's
crime. He
where
was head of crimes.
they didn't lay that out until near the end, where I was like, okay, he actually can do something about what he's trying to solve. Because I was kind of like, is this just a citizen arrest type of situation? And he's just kind of monitoring these people? Or is this like he legit has like information? So again, this is where I didn't know that. You didn't know the murder thing. We had these different elements because there was so much, I think, thrown in here that it's easy to miss something. Very
Oh yeah.
easy to miss something.
Um let's get back to, you just made me think of something I didn't have in my notes. But when Gil Grady, Elvira, gets the murderess, like that was awesome. Throwing her, like, make sure you wear your practical shoes. And then she wears these, of course, ridiculous high heels, which turned out to be a practical shoe because that's what she uses to disable the murderers, right? So yeah, it's a kooky movie, but tons of fun, tons of fun.
Well, what about the romance for you? How did the romance roundup look for you in this movie?
I was like, what romance? But then I realized there was Ted and Ivy, the two
Yeah.
contestants who just kind of, hey, I'm into role play. Well, I guess I'm into role playing, could go a whole different direction. I'm into the murder mystery game thing, right? Um, and I thought they were just kind of cute how they came together. And it was, since we have 18 different plots in this movie, it was just the 19th one. But I thought they were really cute. Clearly, Casper and his wife did not make the romance minute or the romance roundup. And then the other relationships they were just sort of relationships,
That's what I said. Like they felt like old married couples, and
which they were.
yeah. And it was fine. I mean, I don't need any like steamy hot romance in
Yeah.
my mystery movies all the time. Like I think this was adequate. Like you had a very, very small like D or E plot of Ivy and that guy. And that was all I needed.
I will say, oh wait, was Ivy the bad woman? Did I
No,
get the wrong?
Ivy was,
With
nope, you're
Ted.
right. Ivy
Right.
is,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Then the thing I'll say, you were saying like, oh, these, people who've been married and everything for a while, they are also the most understanding spouses both
Oh,
ways, right?
sure.
Like Elvira's off doing her shenanigans and her husband's like, all right, you just, be safe, while he's off apparently mortgaging the house and losing it in a poker game or whatever. Like I couldn't even figure out if that was a real poker game, which it obviously turned out to be, because I thought it was role playing. I like I said, once again, I was just
Yeah,
confused this whole movie. What was what?
I agree.
But
What about characters? Any standout characters for you?
I guess everybody, even the who were they? They were the Swedish couple who were
Yeah.
like cheating to win and were so into, like, all the characters in this movie were just so rich. Like it was great. It's really hard. And I decided, and I'm going the easy way out, but Larry Miller, who is, I guess, maybe the big name one who's was in like so many sitcoms and or movies and things like
Which
that. That's Elvira's husband.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, who is that? Okay, got it.
yeah. He's a well-known, especially back in 2013. He was a pretty well-known, like he wasn't leading movie, but he was in so many comedies, whether it be TV or movie, and so side silly characters. So I just gave it to him just because of that. But like, I would just give it really to the ensemble, because like even the ship's captain, who has like two scenes, he nails those scenes. Like the way he's so dramatic with the fake death. He is dead. I mean, I'll give it to the ensemble. I'll take it back. Larry Miller, you were great, but you're just part of an awesome ensemble cast.
I mean, I kind of agree because I was trying to see, I'm like, man, I could give it to Peter Benson because I liked his character. And then I loved the two leads and I loved the other husband. And I kind of landed on Ivy Pickling, who was played by Kirsten Robeck. And she was the gal, who was kind of helping solve the mystery with the potential love interest. And she's been in so many Hallmark mystery
Oh,
movies
really?
since. Oh, yeah. I think she was in both Garage Sale and Aurora. I think as someone who was murdered, and I think she was the murderess
Oh,
in
how fun.
various different movies. So she was in many other regular Hallmark Christmas movies too. So she plays a D character.
She's like
I
the
really
April
enjoyed
Telek
her.
from our last one, who was
Yeah.
whatever, who just
And
appears to be in every mystery when you
right,
break it down.
she really is. She really is. And I enjoy her. So I would love to see her in more, a media role, like a best friend role, because I think she is delightful. So I picked her, but I totally agree with you that that cast was dynamite, and try to nail it down to one person. You're just like, it could go any way, depending on the day. Well, what
All
about
right.
trivia? Do you have any trivia for us?
Well, I kind of really revealed it already in the Did You Know Monday, but it was that Carol, the what was it? Carol Higgins, the
Clark.
what's the
Yep.
Carol Clark Higgins. She's also, in addition to being a writer, she is an actress who plays the crazy socialite who's trying to talk them into
At the
doing
very
their thing.
beginning of this movie. So if you're
And
missing,
the very
very,
end.
very beginning.
The very beginning, and because at the very end she's like, see, I told you guys, when they decide to open up their thing,
I
she
don't
comes
even think I
back.
realized that it was the
So yeah,
same. That's
she
cute.
bookcases the movie, but she so the writer makes her little cameo in it, but she's an actual actress, so it's not like
I didn't know that.
the the normal writer making their
Hmm.
cameo. So so there's that. Like I said before, Peter Benson, sort of the early on breaking into, who knew at that point. We're talking about people who are in literally every other Hallmark movie. Peter Benson, if he's not in front of the camera as the boyfriend who gets dumped and is totally fine with it, he's behind the camera directing the movie. He is as Hallmark can be. And who knew back in 2013 in that little role what he was going to become?
I mean, they slid him over to Aurora right after this. So after this kind of probably got shelved and Aurora came about shortly after Garage Sale. I think that was kind of that next big mystery. And so he slid over there and was in all of the Aurora. So that's interesting.
No, was
I
he
guess,
still, sorry, was he, I guess we'll
yeah,
find out because we're reviewing the wedding one, right? Is that what I saw?
I know. And I'm kind of, I mean, I'm bummed. I had a different one that I was hoping people would vote for, but it didn't get the
It,
votes. So
the
we are doing the wedding
Now,
one.
is Peter Benson, does he stay, or when Now Matter, does he go away, his character?
Peter Benson, I don't remember. So Peter Benson is not in the last movie. I think he had some sort of conflict. So sometimes him and his wife, and I'm totally blanking on his wife's name. Um, but they will, if they had scheduling
His
conflicts,
character wife, or his real wife?
his character wife.
Okay.
And so they would have scheduling conflicts. And so they would kind of like, sometimes it would just be him in a movie, sometimes it would be his wife. And I haven't seen this one since the wedding one, since it aired. So I can't remember if I'm hoping he's in this one, but I
But
know he's not
he
in the
stayed
last
in,
one.
though, throughout the series. Or he doesn't like
Oh yeah.
leave, and that's why
Nope, he is.
Now Matter
Yep.
comes in. Okay.
Nope, he is there. Because he
The
plays one of the detectives. Lynn,
right,
that's his wife's name, character's wife name.
who, by the way, is my favorite character in the few episodes I have seen
Aurora.
of Aurora. And it may just be because she hates Candace too.
That's funny.
All right, we're getting to
Well,
two
my
of
trivia, really, I kind of already said it as well, but this was going to be a mystery series. Like I had read an interview with one of the actors, and they were hopeful. I think it was Gail that had said, this, I was really excited. I love the script, and it was, the potential to become an ongoing series. And the way they ended it, it definitely left the door open. But unfortunately, it must just not have had the viewers. And again, in 2013, mysteries were still something new. And so I
right.
suppose they wanted, like, Lori Loughlin and Candace Cameron Bure. Those are the two who pretty much started the mysteries. So you had two, for Hallmark, big actresses. And so that's probably what
You're
nailed.
forgetting Kelly Martin back in
There was
her
Kelly Martin too.
Mystery Woman, and
So
then Haley Dean. Like Mystery
Haley
Woman
Dean,
had to be
yes.
around this time.
Those I would have to look up to see, like that and Jane Doe. Did those start on the Hallmark Channel, or did those start somewhere else
Yeah.
and they acquired them? Do you know?
I assume that Mystery Woman started on the Hallmark.
I'm not 100% sure on
channel.
that. I was going to try to look that up because they said Garage Sale was the first. So I'm not sure. We would have to look up. We'll get back to you all
Are you
next
going to
week.
figure out how to get Murder, She Wrote into this now?
Well, that started on CBS. That was not a Hallmark. But that's where I'm saying I'm thinking it might have been an acquired, but I'm not sure. So we'll circle back to that next week, and we'll do some research and see if it was the Garage Sale was their first like Hallmark produced mystery series, because that would be my question there. Any final thoughts on this movie?
You know what? After I'm talking about, I give it my 3.5. I'm gonna stay, but I'm with you. I think watching it again, I probably would not notch it up a little bit more. Just talking about it, like it just made me realize it is just a fun movie. It is not by any means like dark. It's not, one of those type of mysteries. If
It's not scary.
someone is like, oh, I want to compare it to Mystery 101 or even like True Justice, that was just it's not that genre at all. It is just a fun, silly, enjoy yourself mystery. As you said, they lay out, there's no suspense to it. You're not trying to figure out who the killer is, unless you're me, who's trying to, are they
Overthink
not?
it. You're overthinking
Right?
it.
But like I said, it's fun. I would get on now. You don't have the app, right? I watch it in Hallmark movies now. You watched it somewhere
I
else.
do have the app.
Oh, you do?
I got the app again. I had deleted it, but I mean, Hallmark entices us by releasing these movies early, so I got it again.
Okay. So
And if I'm going to
that's
watch some of the mysteries, sometimes you can't find them on Friendly
right.
TV, which is where I usually watch them. So then I have to have the app to kind of find the older movies.
I will say that's the only place you have it. If you have the app, I would definitely give it a watch.
Yes. A fun like Saturday afternoon movie. It's cute. Well, I had my final thoughts. I would love to know if you have ever been to like a mystery dinner theater. Have you ever done anything like this where you're in character and trying to solve this mystery?
No, but I would be 100% down for it. I don't think my wife would be so into it. She doesn't like well, because she doesn't like being sort of called to attention. So I don't know if she would be down for that, but I 100% would be, because I'll liken it to, have you been into an escape room?
I have not.
It's that kind of thing where you have to figure out the clues. I'm also a little bit competitive, so I may get too into it. That would be the only problem. I may get a little too into trying to figure it out and all that, but I think it would be fun.
I did make my husband go to a mystery dinner theater, and I bought it on Groupon probably around 2013 when we were still dating. It's probably why he went. I don't know if he would go
And he
now that
still
we're
married
married.
you.
I know. So we
That's funny
went.
you
No,
say that. We've had
and
this
on top
conversation.
of that, I dressed, so it was like 1920s themed. And so I wore this flapper dress and I'm all like, got my hair done. And my husband comes in this like suit that is like old school, like pinstriped. And so we show up. Nobody else is dressed up. Us. I was like, oh, he looked
That
at me
is
like, are you
awesome.
kidding me? And so, of course, I was hoping that, like, I mean, we were probably way too obvious, so they did not give us any like murder or even big part. But it was really fun to like, try to solve it as you're having dinner and, talking with other people. So I did enjoy it. If people enjoy these mystery things or, chatting with, strangers, you have to be kind of social in that regard. They're kind of fun and dress up. That made it way more fun, even if you're the only ones.
So you're saying about, your husband went when you were dating. We were just having this conversation. We went out to dinner with my wife's nephew, and his girlfriend was visiting. And they were doing something that I looked at her and I was like, yep, you can tell you guys are dating, because my wife, she used to do like all those things with me when we were dating. And then once you get married, you're like, yeah, have fun with that, hun. No. So it is like the difference of what you do with your significant other in the dating world when you're still trying to impress and make them
Yes.
happy, and then when you're married, when you're just like, yeah, what are you gonna do? So
Yeah.
um
Oh.
hey,
Well,
so let's Hallmark and chill for a moment.
yeah.
Any movies you would relate this to?
Okay, so I don't have a movie, I have a TV show. Um, it is not Murder She Wrote, but there is a Murder She Wrote episode that does take place on a boat, but I didn't do that one. So Diagnosis Murder, season 7, episode 12. I actually really enjoy this episode.
A little specific.
I looked it
okay.
up. I looked it up. So it says when they try and solve the mystery on the boat, the husband or the wife actually kills the husband while they're out at sea. Mark, Dr. Mark Sloan has to solve the case. And I found that to be kind of similar to this in terms of like, she tried to like drop poison into his, I think she actually eventually did, into his tea and into his beverage. And they were like, oh, was it the daughters? Were they trying to get the life insurance, or was it the wife? Because now this is her second dead husband. And, you're kind of in on it. You know who the killer is from the start. And then, Mark is trying to figure out how to do it. And then he gets poisoned, but they knew he was going to get poisoned. So they had, since they're doctors, they had the antidote on the ship. So it's kind of a fun episode. I feel like in the 90s, they did a lot of these boat episodes in the TV, like mystery shows, because I can think of a boat episode for pretty much every mystery series that I watch from TV. And they're all fun. I mean, they're all kind of like I feel like if you put someone on a boat in a mystery, it's a good time. Like none of them are like, oh, that's a bad episode. It's just kind of a fun, you got the goofy characters, you're on a cruise. It's just got that atmosphere.
Well before your time, I wonder if there was ever a mystery on the Love Boat. I don't know.
That would be
I,
interesting.
so
I
for
don't know. I've
me,
never seen the Love Boat.
I said before your time. For me, I went with, I think for a current one, Mystery Island has a little same vibe to it of sort of going away and having a mystery. It's also got a little bit of silliness to it. Has the two best friends between the Baroness and Amelia. But I also, and I mentioned it before, Wedding Planner Mysteries, just because it was another fun romp of a Hallmark mystery. And then the last one I did, which I don't know if you ever seen on Netflix, is the murder mystery with Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston.
I never
When
finished that. I tried and I
it
couldn't get
like,
into it.
yeah, I didn't think it was the best, and I honestly, considering you have Hallmark money and Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston, like two big
Yeah.
stars,
Should have been amazing.
I personally think, yeah, the Hallmark ones are a little better, but
Yeah.
it like I say, if you like this, you may like that one. Both of us were just, yeah. I did make it through it. I didn't make it. They did a second one.
Maybe that's the one I
I
didn't
want to
make it
say I
through.
made it through a half hour, and I'm like, I'm
Uh,
out.
yeah.
So
Any
what?
fan info? Like I didn't have much just because this has been so old. I just looked at again, which I had already shared about the IMDb, and I'm assuming again that's why it was canceled just based on people's harsh critiques. And I do think as a Hallmark, because it was 2013, some of the critiques, I don't think they would hold up now. I think we as a Hallmark viewers understand kind of that mystery genre a little bit better and what they're trying to do. I think, yes, it was a little hard to follow, but I think that the Hallmark audience now is a little more sophisticated in some of that. And so we would have been able to say, you know what, this is kind of fun. Let's do another one. It's something unique. It's different. And so I feel like if it would have aired again today, I feel it would have, I maybe, what do you think, gotten picked up?
I Well, I don't know, because with the Hallmark's direction now, they need
Right now,
content,
nothing is
right?
getting picked up. Nothing is getting
Well,
picked up.
that's not true. Cases, we just heard cases.
Well,
There's
I
a
know,
couple
but
more of
like
those.
not a ton of,
Um,
we have a lot of one-offs that are sitting there that a lot of us like that are just like Francesca Quinn. I know
yeah.
I'm alone on that one, but I
No, I'm with
loved
you.
it.
I'm with you. I'm with you
Oh,
there.
we're
I know
rare.
I liked it. You liked it more, but I definitely liked it. And by the way, Francesca Quinn is the exact opposite of the spectrum from the
Oh yeah.
mystery cruise. It's talking
Yes.
about a heavy, dark
Yes.
mystery compared to this one.
Yes.
Uh, like I said, I think that this would have a chance. I also think some of the, you're talking about some of the things needed to be fleshed out a little more. I think that they Hallmark themselves understand the genre, so they probably
Would
would
have
have had
fleshed that
it
out.
be a little bit tighter, kind of, I'll go back to Cases, which was a tongue-in-cheek mystery, but it still flowed, and it had most people really engaged who were okay with a comedic mystery. I know some people don't want a comedy mystery, but I think I agree with you. I think the Hallmark network and the Hallmark viewer probably a little more sophisticated in this genre,
Yeah.
that it would have a little bit different take. And like I said, I still don't understand Michelle Harrison, because she, to me, just screams Hallmark leading actor.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed.
all right.
Well, what's coming up next? We kind of hinted at it. So this next week, Eric is going to watch Aurora Teagarden, Till
My
Death
favorite
Do
series.
Us Part. So this one, a quick little description, is just days before Aurora's wedding, a body is discovered, and she fears her father may be a suspect. So this is one, her dad is not in basically any of them is not discussed very much. And so I just remember that being kind of, as a fan of the series, like, whoa, where did this guy come from? Also, I never even thought about her father necessarily. You know, it was just very, I guess he was mentioned occasionally. So that is in this movie. I personally liked the Julius house, but that one didn't get very many votes. I remember that one a lot. The other ones that I had was the very last one, which Candace's daughter. Did you watch that one? The very last Aurora. Her daughter was the one who played her younger version of herself.
Right.
That actually, I will say, because I had that on, it was playing, you know, they had a marathon last weekend and I had that on and I forgot, like, that one of all of the mysteries is kind of scary. It's spooky. It talks about a ghost, and I
It's a
had it on as
Halloween
I
one,
was
right?
not necessarily Halloween, but it's
I think it may have, if you look at the release date, I think it came out around Halloween.
but it wasn't like a Halloween themed by
Okay.
any chance. But and so like they find like a ghost and dead body, and my 8-year-old just happened, and I had it on the iPad, and he was like walking through, and he like stopped, and he's like, "What is this? Are there ghosts?" And I was like, "Oh gosh!" Like now he's freaked out, you know, because he watched this. And so I will say that one's got like a little more edge to it than some of the other mysteries. And I had forgotten that as I was just having that in the background. I'm like, noted, this is probably not one to watch while my 8-year-old is around, because he got a little freaked out.
When something new came out with Skylar Samuels playing the new Aurora, or the old Aurora, I guess, but a lot of people were saying, why didn't they just use the, you know, the actress who played it in that episode?
Her daughter.
And it's like, I think her daughter probably is not going, like, I don't think people, maybe a lot of people didn't know that was actually her daughter, because wasn't it also Lexa's daughter too?
I
Or
think
no?
so.
Because I thought it was
I
like,
think it was.
I thought it was like both their daughters, and that's one of the things that made it somewhat clever.
Yeah.
As much
I mean,
as
it
you can
was,
say clever about an Aurora movie.
we'll find out. So you have never seen Till Death Do Us Part?
I've saw the first 3, and then I saw the one with JC Doughton,
Okay.
which when she played the killer, and that was just because we're talking to her, and so I was like, all right, I have to go through it.
Watch.
So yeah, those are only 3 that I couldn't even tell you what one that is. I think it's around like 8 or 9, episode 8 or 9, something like that.
All right.
So.
Well, I'm excited to review it. I have not, again, I haven't seen this one because I don't think it was one of my favorites, but I could be wrong just because there is so many of them. I just remember the Julius house because pretty sure that's the one where that one's also, actually, that one's a little spooky too. Like that, some of these are a little like more spooky, which obviously I'm not a bit like the spooky ones that can actually scare me. I don't like that, but I like the cozy. And so some of them are cozy. Some of them have a little more edge to them.
The Julius house was one of our trivia questions, where it was the same house that was in a Mystery 101, the same building, whatever was in both of them. You know, Hallmark always uses the same places.
For sure.
And I do have a bit of trivia for the one we will be talking about, even though I have not seen it.
Ooh.
So
excited for that.
Okay.
All right. Well, it was good
times.
chatting with you again.
I'll leave it on. I think this was a movie you want to stay for the full cruise and give it a go. You don't want to go getting thrown overboard. Okay, Andrea. Good times.
Right.
Why we thoroughly enjoyed this. My hopes are not as high for next week, but we will see. I will go into it with an open mind.
It's fun. Have fun with Aurora.
Oh, famous last words. Goodbye.